You're ruining our family name. Amanda screamed, her perfectly manicured finger jabbing the air inches from my face. The Prescotts don't associate with street people. Her voice dripped with disgust as she paced our living room in her designer heels. I stood my ground, though my hands were shaking. They're human beings who need help, Amanda. The shelter is already making a difference in their lives. My name is Olivia, and at 32, I never expected to be facing down my mother-in-law over opening a homeless shelter. But here we were, her face red with fury, while my husband Michael sat silently on the couch, avoiding eye contact. Making a difference? Amanda scoffed. You're bringing shame to this family. Do you know how it looks when people find out a Prescott is running a shelter in that disgusting part of town? My friends at the country club can't stop talking about it. I thought about the families I'd helped that week, the single mother who'd finally found a safe place to sleep with her kids, the elderly veteran who needed a warm meal. I don't care what your country club friends think. Michael. Amanda turned to her son, her voice shifting to the manipulative tone I'd grown to hate. Darling, you have to do something about this. Your father is beside himself. The family reputation. The family reputation will survive, I cut in. In fact, it might even improve if people see the Prescotts actually helping the community instead of just talking about it at charity galas. Amanda's eyes narrowed. How dare you? We've donated millions to this city. To proper charities, not some flophouse you've cobbled together. Proper charities? I couldn't help but laugh. You mean the ones where you get to wear expensive dresses and take photos for social media? When was the last time you actually helped someone in need? Michael? Amanda's voice turned ice cold. It's time to choose. Either she stops this ridiculous project, or you need to think very carefully about your position in this family. Finally, Michael spoke, his voice quiet. Liv, maybe we should think about this. The shelter is taking up all your time, and Mom's right about how it looks. I stared at him, this man I'd loved for 10 years, feeling something break inside me. How it looks, that's what you're worried about. The Prescott name means something in this city, he said, standing up to join his mother. We have responsibilities, appearances to maintain. Appearances, I echoed. Well, here's how it looks to me. My husband and his mother care more about their country club reputation than helping people who've lost everything. Amanda smirked, victory written all over her face. Well, if that's how you see it, perhaps it's best if you step away from the family entirely. Michael can find someone more suitable. I looked between them, Amanda in her perfectly pressed designer outfit, Michael in his tailored suit, both of them so concerned about their precious family name. 10 years of marriage, and I finally saw them clearly. You know what? You're right. I pulled off my wedding ring, the massive diamond that Amanda had insisted was appropriate for a Prescott wife. I will step away, but the shelter stays open. You can't, Amanda started, but I cut her off. I can, and I will. The shelter is in my name, funded by my inheritance from my grandmother. You have no say in it. Michael stepped forward, looking uncertain for the first time. Liv, don't be dramatic. We can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, I said, placing the ring on the coffee table. Your mother's right. I'm not suitable for this family, and I'm starting to think this family isn't suitable for me. I walked out of that house with nothing but my car keys and my dignity. Behind me, I could hear Amanda's triumphant voice. Finally. Now we can find you someone appropriate, darling. That night, I slept in my office at the shelter, listening to the rain against the windows. Tears came, of course. 10 years of marriage doesn't end without pain. But mixed with the grief was something unexpected, relief. The next morning, I threw myself into work. The shelter needed expanding, and now I had nothing holding me back. No more fancy dinners to attend, no more disapproving looks from Amanda, no more compromising my values to maintain appearances. I didn't know it then, but walking away from the Prescott name would turn out to be the best decision I ever made. And 5 years later, when Amanda showed up at my shelter's door, she wouldn't even recognize the strong, independent woman her former daughter-in-law had become. But that night, curled up on my office couch, all I knew was that I'd chosen my path. The Prescott family name might mean everything in their world, but in mine, the only name that mattered was the one on the shelter's sign, Haven House, where everyone belongs. Little did Amanda know, her precious family reputation would soon mean nothing at all. 5 years passed in a blur of growth and change. Haven House expanded from a single shelter to 3 locations across the city, each offering not just beds but job training, medical care, and education programs. I barely thought about my old life anymore. The country club parties and designer clothes seemed like scenes from someone else's story. Until one rainy Tuesday evening in October. I was doing my usual evening rounds at our newest location when Maria, one of our staff members, caught my attention. "Liv, there's someone you should see. A woman's been sleeping in her car behind the building for 3 nights. She won't come in, says she's just resting." I grabbed an umbrella and headed out to the parking lot. In the dim light, I could make out a luxury car, a Mercedes, but an older model, clearly not maintained recently. Through the foggy windows, I could see someone huddled in the back seat. I knocked gently on the window. "Ma'am, would you like to come inside? We have warm beds and hot food." The window rolled down just a crack, and a familiar voice replied, "I'm fine. Just resting." My heart stopped. Even exhausted and afraid, I'd recognize that voice anywhere. Amanda Prescott, my former mother-in-law, was sleeping in her car behind my homeless shelter. She didn't recognize me in the dark, wearing my casual clothes and rain jacket, so different from the polished daughter-in-law she'd known. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "It's not safe to sleep in your car," I said gently. "We have private rooms available. No questions asked." The window rolled down further, and I could see her clearly now. Amanda's perfectly dyed hair was growing out, showing gray roots. Her designer outfit was wrinkled and worn. But it was her eyes that struck me. The proud, judgmental woman I'd known was gone, replaced by someone scared and desperate. I couldn't possibly," she whispered. I'm not homeless. I'm just having a temporary setback." I bit back the urge to remind her of her own words from years ago about street people. Instead, I said, "Many of our guests are experiencing temporary setbacks. There's no shame in accepting help." Thunder rolled overhead, and rain began falling harder. Amanda jumped at the sound, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. "Perhaps just for tonight," she conceded. I helped her gather her belongings, a single suitcase and a designer handbag that had seen better days. As we walked inside, I noticed her limping slightly in her expensive but impractical shoes. Maria met us at the door with warm towels and a sympathetic smile. She'd been homeless herself once, before becoming one of our most dedicated staff members. "Welcome to Haven House," she said warmly. "I'm Maria, and this is our director, Olivia." Amanda's head snapped up at my name, really looking at me for the first time. I saw the moment recognition hit her. Her eyes widened, and she swayed slightly on her feet. She whispered. "Let's get you settled first," I said firmly. "We can talk later." I led her to one of our private rooms, basic but clean and safe. Amanda stood in the doorway, clutching her handbag like a shield. "Why?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "Why would you help me after everything?" I thought about the cruel words she'd spoken years ago, about family names and reputations. I thought about Michael, who I'd heard had married someone more suitable barely 6 months after our divorce. "Because everyone deserves help," I said simply, "even people who once refused to give it to others." Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them back. "Some habits die hard. I suppose Prescotts don't cry in public." "The family," she started, then stopped, swallowing hard. "Things change after the scandal. The investments, the properties, it's all gone. Michael moved to Europe with his new wife. I tried staying with friends, but you don't have to explain," I interrupted gently. "Get some rest. We'll talk more tomorrow." As I turned to leave, her voice stopped me. "Olivia, I was wrong. About everything. I see that now." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. 5 years ago, I would have given anything to hear those words. Now, they were just sad. Back in my office, I looked up the scandal she'd mentioned. The headlines told the story. "Prescott Empire crumbles under federal investigation." The family's centuries-old wealth, it seemed, had been built on fraud and tax evasion. When it all came crashing down, the precious family name became worthless overnight. I thought about karma, about justice, about the strange ways life comes full circle. But mostly, I thought about the scared woman in room 114 who'd lost everything she once thought important and found herself seeking help from the very person she'd once despised. Tomorrow, I'd offer her the same things we offered all our guests: support, resources, a chance to rebuild. Not because she deserved it more than others, but because she deserved it just as much. After all, Heaven House was where everyone belongs, even former mothers-in-law who needed to learn that lesson the hard way. The next morning, I saw Amanda sitting alone in the dining room, looking into her coffee. She was trying to stay strong. Her hair was neatly combed, her clothes tidy, but she couldn't hide the sadness in her eyes. "Good morning," I said as I sat across from her. "Did you sleep okay?" She gave a short nod. The room was fine. Then she added quietly, "Thank you." "Do you want to talk about why you're here?" I asked gently. Amanda held her coffee cup tightly. "After the scandal, everything fell apart. Our bank accounts were frozen. The houses were taken. Michael," she paused, swallowing hard, "said he couldn't help. His new wife's lifestyle, you know." I felt a strange mix of emotions. Amanda Prescott, once proud and powerful, was now here, in a place she used to look down on. "What about your friends from the country club?" I asked. She gave a bitter smile. "They all disappeared. Said they were too busy or their guest rooms were being renovated." She gave a dry laugh. The same excuses I used to give others. I looked at her, remembering how she once judged people like me. Life has a way of teaching us empathy. "You must be enjoying this," she said softly. "I'm really not," I told her. "What I enjoy is helping people rebuild their lives. That's what we do here. And if you're ready, we can help you too." For the first time, she looked at me not as her former daughter-in-law, but as someone who might actually help. "I don't know how," she said. "I don't really have any skills. The only thing I was ever good at was being a Prescott." "Then it's time to learn who Amanda is without the Prescott name," I said, opening a folder. "We have training programs, classes about money, housing support. Where would you like to start?" Over the next few months, Amanda began to change. It wasn't easy. She struggled with computers, got frustrated during job training, and didn't like sharing a bathroom. But she didn't give up. The big change came during our holiday dinner program. Amanda, now working part-time as a receptionist, helped serve food. I watched her smile at people, talk with them, learn their names. "They're just people," she told me later, amazed. All this time I thought, but they're just people who need help. "That's what I tried to tell you 5 years ago," I said. She looked down. "I was so wrong, Olivia. About everything. About you. I treated you terribly. The past is past," I said. "What matters is what you do now." And she did a lot. As her confidence grew, Amanda became one of our most helpful volunteers. She used her event planning skills to organize donations and used her social contacts to bring in support. One year after arriving at Haven House, Amanda moved into her own small apartment. It wasn't a mansion, but she looked truly happy there. On her last night at the shelter, she gave me an envelope. Inside was a letter to the board, praising Haven House. She signed it with her maiden name. "I'm not a Prescott anymore," she said. "I'm just Amanda Turner now, and I'm finally okay with that." I smiled, thinking of my own journey. Sometimes we have to lose everything to discover who we really are. "You always knew who you were," she said softly. "I'm sorry I didn't see it before." Now, Amanda runs our volunteer program. She tells her story to people who never thought homelessness could happen to them. She especially connects with those who once had wealth and now feel ashamed. Michael called once, years later. He had heard his mother was working at a homeless shelter and couldn't believe it. I think he came expecting to see her sad and broken. Instead, he saw her leading a volunteer meeting, full of energy and purpose. "She seems different," he said. "She is different," I replied. He left without talking to her. When I told Amanda, she wasn't surprised. "The Michael I raised wouldn't understand who I've become," she said. "Maybe that's my biggest failure as a mother and my best chance to do better now." Sometimes at night, I think about the day Amanda first came to Haven House. We've both come so far. Me from a daughter-in-law who just wanted approval. Her from a woman who cared more about image than people. Haven House has grown too. We now have 5 locations, each helping different groups. Amanda's story even inspired a program just for older women facing sudden homelessness. Where everyone belongs isn't just our motto anymore. It's something we both believe deep in our hearts. Even a Prescott. Especially a Prescott.